to Charm Chats. Hello and welcome to Charm Chats with Kendra
and Kat.
Today we are covering Season 4, Episode 5, Size Matters.
Yeah. I love Episode 405 airing in October, and it's not a Halloween episode.
Yeah.
This episode aired on October 25th, 2001. It's not a Halloween episode, and I love it.
Yep.
Don't mind me. It makes me happy. You know?
I mean, I like having a Halloween episode, but we just had one last season.
Right.
So we don't need another one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, we start inside P3, which we know because of the neon sign on the wall.
Big, huge neon sign inside the building. Piper is wearing a short-sleeve, button-down white shirt with red stripes that's just slightly too short.
Yeah, and the stripes are like across the entire pattern. It's like a chevron because they're going down towards center. They're like angling.
A little bit, yeah. And as she comes down the stairs, it shows off just a little bit of her stomach, which is why we know it's just slightly too short. She has dark denim jeans with a brown belt, and her hair is in a low ponytail with two little bits coming down in front. And she's got that small diamond necklace on. And she's talking to a dude who is in black pants and an untucked patterned button-down shirt over a black t-shirt. And we will learn that this guy's name is Treat Taylor. He is played by Richard McGregor. He only has 28 acting credits between 1985 and 2015 and has no picture on IMDb. So there you go.
Anyway, he's explaining how he's there to change up the club, and they're like taking out tables and putting in pillows so people can lie back.
And white gauze on the walls, because that's a thing.
Yeah, Piper's clearly uncomfortable, and he's like, hey, do you trust the #1 club promoter in all of San Francisco? And she's like, yeah. And then he turns around and he's like, okay, guys, rip it all out.
Yeah. Phoebe then enters, wearing a long tan skirt with a few red patches and pockets and stuff, along with a 3/4 sleeve red top that shows off her belly button and has a large black flower cross thing on the front. It's a little hard to describe. Yeah. She's got a large shoulder bag of a purse, and her hair is down and curly.
And she sees them tearing out their table, apparently. And Piper introduces her to Treat and says, oh, he's the new manager on a trial basis. So, of course, Phoebe has to pull Piper away to give her a talk.
Yeah, they go sit by the bar, and Phoebe reminds Piper that all the books question doing any major changes in their lives after a major loss, and questions Piper about the club.
And Piper's like, well, there have been a lot of changes lately. This is hardly the biggest. Just then, Paige walks in and heads towards them. And there's a cute line from Phoebe about speak of the devil /witch/white lighter.
Yeah. Paige is in black pants and a long sleeve purple turtleneck with a large pink belt over top that is not in the pants belt loops.
Nope.
Her hair is down and straight and she has large hoop earrings.
Yeah. And she apologizes for interrupting, but they're like, no, you aren't. And she's like, okay, I'll wait. Go talk.
Yeah.
And she stands there while they continue explaining what the conversation was about to her.
Yeah. Piper tells Phoebe that the changes in the club are happening because now they're a single salary household and she needs P3 to make more money than it has been.
Phoebe's like, oh, I can get a job. Piper's like, unless your job is an entry level at $200,000 a year, I need you to be free for other work.
And she used air quotes for other work, which I thought was hilarious.
Because
like she did
like kind of in public.
Other work.
Well, it was like angled in.
Yeah. Phoebe says that Piper shouldn't be the only one paying the bills and that she's a college grad, so she should be able to find a job.
Paige tries to cut in a couple of times during this exchange, but they continue ignoring her until like the third time. And she's like, hey, I found something about that other work.
Yeah.
And she tells them about this house that she walks by every morning on her coffee run. And she gets what she calls a shiver.
Yeah, which she describes as a really bad, creepy feeling.
And asks if they've ever felt any such thing.
When they kind of blow her off, she says that she always thought it was just a bad case of the creeps, but now that she's a witch, she thinks it might actually be something supernatural.
So Phoebe's like, okay, well, what do you know about the house? And Paige is like, well, there's this cute guy that lives there, and we flirted a lot at the grocery store. You know, like, are these melons ripe?
Yeah. Piper says that she's got the hots, not the creeps, and Phoebe tells her to stay away from this Finn guy, who's the name of the cute guy. Paige says she doesn't get the shiver from Finn, just his house. And Piper tells her that after she's been a witch for a few months, then she'll learn the difference between sensing evil and needing a warmer jacket, which I thought was hilarious and a little bit, a little rude. Just a little bit rude.
Yeah. Paige is a little upset that they don't want to check into it. And she's like, I'm not making this up to Phoebe. And Phoebe is sensitive to it, but she says it's not a lot to go on. Just stay away from this Finn guy. And then both Phoebe and Piper leave.
Right. We cut to a sad, dilapidated Victorian house.
Like, it's lost all the paint on the outside, or the paint was brown to begin with.
Yeah, it's
so clearly sad. In severe disrepair, and probably down the street from the pink house.
Now, here's the thing, right? According to what I've read, this house is about 3 houses away.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Because it's got the same, retaining wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was very funny. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's supposed to only be 3 houses away, but it is about 3 houses away.
I mean, it looks like it's in, if not the same neighborhood, at least a similar neighborhood.
Yes.
Turns out, same street.
Yes.
Not Prescott.
Correct.
Anyway, we pan over to the street as a dude and a woman ride up on a motorcycle, and they stop at the base of the driveway on the sidewalk.
And get out of the bike. The girl is a blonde in light khaki pants and a pink top. We won't learn her name for a while, but it's Claudia. The actress is Heather Marie Marsden. She has got 46 acting credits between 1994 and 2016, and some people might recognize her voice as Sarah Lyons from the game Fallout 3.
And she has a very prominent forehead.
Yeah.
It's more like a 5-head, really.
The guy is in jeans and a blue button-down under a black leather jacket, and this is Finn. He is played by Ronaldo Rosales. He only has 21 acting credits between 2001 and 2011. He was born in 1978 in Paducah, Kentucky, which is on the border between Illinois and Kentucky, where the Ohio River and the Tennessee River divide. And they have a national quilt museum. Don't ask me why I know that. I could not tell you. I didn't even have to look it up. Oh, but Rumor Willis was also apparently born in Paducah. I did have to look that up. But yeah, Paducah, Kentucky has a national quilt museum.
Yeah, and right about theirs, I think, is where there's that bit of Kentucky that's completely surrounded by other states, not connected to Kentucky.
That I don't know.
So, there's this bit right at the absolute western tip of Kentucky where the border of Kentucky is this river.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, there was a major flood event or something, weather happened, and the river changed course, and it dipped, and the bend in the river dipped way lower into Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So where there had been a bit of Kentucky that was, connected via this river, it then dipped down and cut off this one little section of Kentucky.
Interesting.
So there's this portion of Kentucky that is non-contiguous.
Interesting.
That is bordered entirely by either, I forget, Illinois, I guess, and Tennessee or whatever, and then Missouri. It's not connected to Kentucky, and it's not a huge portion. It's
interesting.
An eighth the size of Rhode Island or something. It's tiny.
Nice. Anyway, so we learned that Claudia has just met Finn and has decided to go home with him anyway, but she's a little weary of the house.
Mm-hmm. He gets her to go inside by kind of taunting her, and we get a POV.
What are you afraid of?
Yeah, I know, horror movie shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get a POV from behind some unstuccoed slats. Which is very typical of this type of architecture. We had it in my old house.
Yeah, and it's
until you put the stucco on, it's literally just horizontal wooden slats.
Right.
And it's really fun to take out pieces of this wall because when you turn it around, you see some of the stucco pushing through the slats. Mm-hmm. It's fun.
Yeah,
and there's always horsehair and stucco too.
Yeah.
But anyway, we hear a person breathing from this POV too.
Right.
Finn tries to turn on the light, but it doesn't work, and so he walks with her into another room, and he's like, I'm going to go check the circuit breaker.
She asks him not to go. He says it's okay, and then leaves her alone. And we see a face through some open slats in the wall of this room that like is staring at her. And the slats on the wall in this particular configuration look a bit like a rib cage.
Yeah, they're a bit widely spaced.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, she hears a noise, asks, "Who's there?" because she's in a horror movie. Mm-hmm. No one answers until she starts to kind of look around the room.
After a moment, the man who is staring through the wall hits her with some electricity from something he's holding. She screams, and it was a weird moment because the figure of this dude looks like it's a still shot with the only thing moving is the electricity. Mm. And I'll tell you more about this guy when we actually get a better look at him.
But he's pretty recognizable.
Right, but we don't actually see his face clearly enough right yet, so we're going to make you wait for it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we go to the opening credits. No Cole, no Daryl this episode.
We get another establishing shot of the rundown Victorian, and then we find ourselves inside with someone sharpening metal tools.
Incorrectly. There is a chip in that blade, in that chisel. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to grind that shit down, man. Like, he's clearly a sculptor. He should know this crap.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to sharpen blades yet, and I know this.
Yeah. I'm
just scared of the grinder.
Yeah. It was hard to watch.
And this is grinder with an E.
Yep.
Grinder on the binder.
Yeah. We then see him carving what looks to be a little female figurine out of clay, and then decorating a small figurine.
Carving some boobs on a female figurine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then decorating a small figurine that has come out of the kiln, painting it up. And then we hear a scream as we are shown this figurine.
Yeah, and the figurine itself looks a little contorted.
Yeah, like it has a look of horror on the face.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we cut to outside. That motorcycle comes all the way down the driveway.
So we know some time has passed. And we can see Paige standing across the street, shivering. Oh, and she has a tiny purple purse to go with her outfit. It was adorable. Mm-hmm. Adorable.
Yeah. We cut to Phoebe in some kind of office, like a rented office type deal. It's very sparse. Mm-hmm. It almost looks legal. As in like legal offices. Not as in they got it legally.
Yes. Okay. She has changed outfits. She is now in a gray turtleneck under a dark denim jacket with lace on the collar, with her hair in low braided pigtails and large hoop earrings. I can't see the rest of her outfit at this point, but it is gray turtleneck top underneath this jacket. And this jacket was one of those where, like, you can tell that the lace collar was added after the fact. And it is a very large lace collar.
Yeah.
We see a woman in a classy gray suit dress with a red shirt sit down behind the desk. This actress is Carrie Coleman. She has 69 acting credits so far, starting back in 1992. And she's a bit of a that guy, as she's been in a lot of single episodes of TV shows that I've watched.
Yeah. Anyway, we see that Phoebe is at a job interview, and the woman interviewing her is being pretty fucking judgmental, and she's like, oh, so you only graduated college at 27?
Yeah. Phoebe says that she needed to take some time off for personal reasons after her freshman year, but she does not elaborate.
Yeah. And then the woman's like, oh, things get hectic around the holiday. We need people who can handle tense situations. Phoebe describes herself as uniquely qualified. And then the woman's like, but why do you need a flexible schedule?
Phoebe promises to put in the hours, but says that she needs to possibly leave at unexpected times sometimes.
And refuses again to elaborate.
Yeah. The woman doesn't seem to be fond of that. Phoebe tries to backpedal, but she's just digging herself in deeper.
Yeah, and we see some passive-aggressive
writing on the clipboard.
Writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, we get an establishing shot of the manor as Paige knocks softly and then enters.
And we hear the telltale sound of white lighter tingles as she walks into the living room and sees Leo levitating in a meditative cross-legged sitting position with orbs all around him. He is in black pants and a grayish-bluish t-shirt and socks. I don't know why, but it made me laugh that he was wearing socks.
Yeah. Anyway, Paige calls out to him. He gets startled, and we hear him thud to the floor.
Thunk. Yeah.
And so she rushes over to make sure he's okay. He gets up and kind of, like, cracks his back.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, the door was unlocked. He says, yeah, because otherwise demons will break it, and it's really expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive to keep fixing it.
Yeah.
And him cracking his back made me laugh, because I was like, yep, that's how you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just little turns in the right ways.
Yeah. He then tells her that Phoebe is out at a job interview, but Paige says she was coming to see him.
He asks why, and she says that she'd like to have a chat with him, white lighter to part white lighter.
Yeah. And so she asks him about his ability to sense his charges and wonders if this could be extrapolated to her having a sense for locating evil.
He questions this, and she tells him about the house. She then mentions that she's already told the girls about it, but they kind of blew her off. He asks if she wants him to talk to them, as it's part of his job to get in the middle of these things, and he says that he'll talk to them when they're in the right mood.
So she thanks him right as Phoebe enters the house.
She is now sans jacket, so we can see that her turtleneck top is actually a turtleneck dress, and it has almost cap sleeves.
Yeah.
It's like half a cap sleeve.
Yeah.
It wasn't far enough to be a full cap sleeve.
Yeah, it's halfway between having a sleeve and not having a sleeve.
Yeah.
And she is super not happy.
Yeah, Leo offhandedly mentions to Paige that now would not be the right time to talk to Phoebe, which I thought was great.
Yeah, they head over to her before she gets to the stairs, and she's yelling about the real world needing to show her some respect or she'll stop saying it every week.
And I laughed at the meta joke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Leo's like, what happened? She's like, oh, I had a really horrible job interview. A monkey could have done this shit.
Yeah.
And then questions Paige as to why she's not at work.
Yeah. Paige says she's on her lunch break. Phoebe asks if she's still thinking about that creepy house, and then asks if she's found anything new out about this house. Leo says that it might be worth checking, which makes Phoebe decide that it's worth the time because she doesn't have a job to go to or anything.
Yeah. Paige is like, well, I kind of do. Let's meet later in the afternoon.
Then she says she needs a paper and pen to write the address down, and a paper and pen orb into her hand.
It was a really cute flourish, too.
Yeah. She's very excited about being able to move things with her mind, thanks Leo for his help, tells Phoebe she'll see her later, and she leaves.
Phoebe asks if Leo thinks she's really onto something with the house, and Leo's like, well, the important thing is that Paige thinks there's something, and we need to support her.
Yeah.
So Phoebe kind of sighs, and she's like, I'll go change into my work clothes and head over.
Leo asks if she wants him to tag along, but she's all, this is what I do, and then heads upstairs to change. And I'm like, woman, take the backup.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, over at P3, Treat is showing Piper the new waitress's uniforms.
They are black crop tops with the name The Spot in pink on a glitter circle, along with black pants and a glitter belt. Just soak that in for a moment.
I feel like they were shorts.
They were pants in this moment.
Okay.
In this moment, they were pants.
Yeah. It's very Hooters.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are very cropped.
They are very, very cropped. Piper is slightly upset to learn that Treat is changing the name of the club from P3 to The Spot. And he says that he doesn't know what P3 stands for, and most people think it's a parking level.
To be honest, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, Piper is like, oh, well, it stands for Prue, Piper, and Phoebe, and that kind of makes her sad because she was remembering Prue. Yeah.
Treat then walks her through the club, saying that a new image deserves a new name. She gives in, and then after he asks her 3 more times if she's really sure about it, she doesn't stop him, and instead she just walks away. And we can see that he's put up the white gauze on all of the walls, so at least he's consistent about what he says he was going to do.
Yeah.
We cut inside Finn's house, getting a POV from the breathing person behind the wall, as there's a knock on the door. We can cut outside to see that it's Phoebe, who has changed into a short blue jacket with long sleeves, over a blue V-neck camo shirt, and black pants with white stripes up the side. I believe those are Reebok pants.
Yeah.
She's carrying a shoulder bag. Her hair is still in the braids, but she has removed her earrings.
Yeah.
Because, of course.
She places her hands on the glass of the door, probably trying to get a premonition, but nothing happens.
Yep.
But as she starts to walk away, the door opens a couple of inches by
creak.
itself.
And so instead of being smart and leaving to get her sisters, she turns around and enters the house.
Yeah. We see her walk into the room where Claudia got zapped, and we see that face behind the slats in the wall.
Yeah.
And she calls out a hello, but no one answers. She sees a collection of little porcelain dolls with looks of horror on their faces, and she picks one up and gets a premonition.
We see Finn sitting at the bar in P3, a shot of the dilapidated Victorian that she's now inside, and then the door opening just as it did when she got there, and a little bit of fire. As the premonition ends, she drops the doll, breaking it into pieces on the floor, and the man who is watching her yells out a no and runs out from behind a wall. We now get a clear view of this man, so even though we don't have a character name for him yet, I shall tell you about him.
This is the one, the only,
Robert Englund. He was born in 1947 in Glendale, California. He has 162 acting credits that start way back in 1974, and most people will know him best as his role as Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I will link to his stuff, but I want to stop talking about him now because Freddy Krueger is part of the reason I'm an insomniac.
Well, that and your brain.
Well, yes, but, children who are afraid to go to sleep should not watch movies about people who kill you in your dreams. Just saying it. It's not a thing that should happen, and it did.
Yeah, I think by the time I'd seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, which I think I only saw, the second or third one, the one that was really meta, or whatever. Or no, the one before it was really meta. I had already had dreams in which I died, so I knew this was fake.
Oh, yeah, no,
And so I was really able to, get past that. But I was also weirdly into horror as a preteen.
I have never been into horror, so...
Well, I'm not now. I don't like it. I can watch the stuff that I watched back then, but I otherwise have to be really picky about, what and when I watch it.
I like zombie
but,
movies.
I saw all of the
movies,
Halloween movies
before
I was 11.
Yeah, no.
Well, all the ones that were out back then. And I saw... one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I saw that one movie that had the woman who got stabbed by a corn cob. And I occasionally have to Google that one because I can never remember the title.
No idea.
Yeah, I forget. And I think I saw parts of one of the Hellraisers. But, I watched a lot of really dark, gory shit when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And now I can't handle it. But then I was just it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I'm okay.
I never had nightmares.
See, I'm okay with, fantasy horror stuff, like zombies and vampires and werewolves and stuff like that. But when it's people killing people, I can't.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because I can do it in TV shows. Like Criminal Minds and NCIS and CSI and all. I love those shows. Criminal Minds is one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
But I can't watch a movie of that. And I don't know why. I really don't know why.
That's weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, back to the show.
Yes. So, he is wearing a white button-down shirt and a plaid robe. We see him pull out some sort of wand thing from a robe pocket. He zaps Phoebe with some electricity, and we see her shrink down in size.
And it's really cool, because there's, this globe effect around her.
Uh-huh.
It's creating, a field that shrinks her.
Yeah.
And it shrinks with her.
Yeah.
And her purse has fallen on the floor. It's still full size.
Yeah.
And she kind of looks around and then runs away. And we go to commercial break.
Yeah. It was a cute moment, but it was one of those where, I kind of wonder what would happen if she had tried to move while getting shrunk.
Yeah, there might be something in the field that disallows that.
Could be. Anyway, we come back about a moment after we left, as this dude is looking for Phoebe's tiny self. We see that half of his face is slightly darker and shiny, like it was once burnt and has recovered.
And then we see Phoebe hiding behind the leg of, a table or a chair or something.
Mm-hmm. He realizes that she can't have gone very far. She tries whispering for Leo to no effect. And then we see him then grabbing a flashlight.
She tries to hide from the light for a bit, but then gets caught and tries to run across the room. And he attempts to grab her, but she levitates over his hand.
Yeah, he, goes down to the floor to, grab at her. It was, I don't know why, but it was one of those moments where I was like, I had a flashback to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Where it was the huge person coming in with the large hand toward the thing.
Mm-hmm.
She gets away by jumping over him.
And he calls her a little witch.
Yeah.
And when he tries to grab her again, he, conks his head on, a chair or couch or something.
Yeah. He then goes to get a shop vac. She does the obligatory, this sucks jokes. And I got distracted by singing Jonathan Coulton songs.
Yeah.
I'm going to
What's really funny
to Shop Vac because it was stuck in my head for many, many hours.
Because that song is also kind of about a killer. There's a bit in the recorded version where there's radio broadcasts over top of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I will
Which actually reminds me of a Criminal Minds episode.
Yeah.
About the highway dude with the sawed-off shotgun.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that's actually where it came from.
It might be. I haven't asked him about that. I did ask him about a talk with George. Because I didn't know the character who he was talking about. But that's about a real life person.
Yeah. Anyway,
listen to Joko. He's great.
he's amazing. I will, like I said, I will link to that particular. Somebody made a video with a typographical.
Nice.
Oh, it's so good. I'll show it to you after.
Yes, it's very loud with the shop vac on.
Yes. Anyway, we cut to Leo and Paige orbing into a secure area in the back of P3. Leo has added a red shirt jacket thing to his outfit.
Paige seems a little bit nauseous from the orbiting, and she keeps, like, rubbing her stomach. And they go to find Piper.
Leo questions the white gauze, joking that it's worse than up there, which I thought was great.
And Piper tells him it's Treat's idea. She asks why they're there. Paige is like, oh, we orbed in.
And Piper seems strangely weirded out that they orbed in together.
Yeah.
Like, it was a little weird.
Yeah.
In that, like,
She's just not...
why are you orbiting with my husband kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We haven't seen him, like, orbiting around with a lot of people. And she doesn't know Paige that well, so it's a bit like this is a new person.
Yeah, it was slightly odd.
It was a little bit.
Yeah. Paige says she's worried about Phoebe, and she says that when Phoebe didn't show up at the creepy house, she checked the manor. Piper interrupts, saying that they weren't going to worry about this so-called creepy house, and Paige mentions that she brought it up to Leo. Piper says something about Paige going behind her back. Leo reminds Piper that he's Paige's white lighter too, and she tells Paige that it was a smart witch thing, but an annoying sister thing.
Which is true.
Yeah.
She then asks about Phoebe, and Leo's like, oh, I checked my radar, but she's dropped to the tiniest blip. Which was very funny.
Piper asks why that would happen. He says that he doesn't know and he doesn't like it. And Piper says that they should get over there.
Paige tries the I told you so thing, and Piper's like, hold off until we find Phoebe. As they're starting to walk up the stairs out of the club, we hear workmen shout something about, like, watch out. And, like, not like an alarmed watch out, just like, oh, watch out there. And turn around, and we see them pulling the P3 sign off the wall. It falls and hits the ground and just, like, shatters.
Yeah, because neon shatters.
Yeah.
Very easily.
Yeah, Leo notices that Piper seems upset about this, but she tries to throw it off. She's like, it doesn't matter. P3 doesn't exist anymore. And then she puts on her blazer again, and they head back up the stairs.
Yeah, she puts on a black blazer as they walk out, and I was just like, oh, that just looks so nice on her. Mm-hmm. She always looks good in a blazer.
Oh, yeah.
She just does. Anyway, Leo looks back at the sign for a moment and then follows Piper, and we end this scene with just Paige staring into the distance.
Yeah. Back inside Finn's house, Phoebe is underneath the couch, grabbing onto those, like, dust flaps.
Yeah. Like, for dear life.
Yeah. It's some good wire work where she's just getting, like, pulled upright and back a little bit and has to grab onto this, like, large canvas thingy.
Yeah.
It's perfectly scaled, too.
Oh, yeah. They did a really good job.
Yeah, and he's, like, the creepy dude is, like, just shoving the shop vac hose under the couch.
Yeah.
Which, like, there's no lattice, like, blocking it. He would just chuck her into shop vac.
Yeah.
I think, wouldn't she encounter a fan in there?
Possibly. But at this point, I don't think he cares so much.
Probably not.
Finn walks in, and creepy dude calls out that one's loose, and that he should close the door. And we hear the door shut, and then Finn asks if he's going to do the same thing to this girl that he did to the other one.
Creepy dude tells him not to ask questions and shuts off the shop vac.
Phoebe relaxes a little bit because now the shop vac isn't, trying to suck her up into it.
And creepy dude's like, ooh, you've given me an idea. He walks away, and Phoebe takes that moment to go hide behind that chair leg again.
She sees that the door, even though we heard it close, is just slightly open.
Yeah.
Because continuity is never a thing in the show.
Yeah.
Creepy guy
puts what looks to be a little clay figurine on a high shelf. Finn tries to ask him something, but gets shushed.
Phoebe, who for some reason now has the eyes of a fucking hawk, sees that the figurine on the shelf is actually a woman covered in clay asking for help.
And because we should all be on the same page at this point, the woman is Claudia.
Yeah. Finn realizes that the door is still open, and at creepy guy's yelling, slides over to shut it. And I mean slides. Like, he literally does a, like, Footloose. Was it? No, not Footloose. What's the one?
Risky Business.
Risky Business. Yeah, it was a Risky Business slide into the door to shut the door.
Yeah, and I'm finding interesting that this door is very close to the floor.
Yeah.
Like, closer than is normal. Like, less of a gap than between the carpet and my bathroom door, which that gap is only that small because I have carpet.
Yes.
If it were wood floor in here, it would be a pretty significant gap that, say, a kitten could shove their paw under.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's usually that much of a gap because you don't want the door encountering the floor. Mm-hmm. But there's like a sliver in this house, which I find interesting.
It's kind of like the gap between your closet door and the carpet.
Yeah, kind of.
It's very, very tiny. Anyway, outside Finn's house, Piper's car pulls up with Piper, Paige, and Leo in it. They stop across the street, little ways down. Paige mentions that she's got the shiver again, and Piper's like,
you don't need to be a super witch to know that house is creepy.
It's so true. Leo then mentions that someone must be home because he saw a motorcycle in the driveway.
Yeah, Piper and Leo start debating back and forth about what they're going to do in this situation. Piper's like, oh, we'll go to the front door. Leo can knock. I'll freeze whoever answers. And Leo's like, yeah, you don't have perfect control over your powers. You might blow him up. What if he's an innocent?
Yeah.
Piper's then like, okay, great. You can orb in. Check it out. Let us know what's up. Leo's like, dude, if there's nothing supernatural going on, we've risked exposure by me orbing into someone's living room.
Piper says again that she can do the freezing thing, and Paige, who's been trying to cut in and is being ignored, finally says that she can get Finn out of the house.
Piper asks how, and Paige is like, oh yeah, I know him. I can lure him out while you go in and snoop.
Piper says it's too dangerous to let her go off with a potential demon. Leo says it's their best bet. Piper asks if he's siding with Paige. He says that there are no sides, but yes. Which I think was my favorite moment in this scene. It was great.
Yeah, and Paige has a valid point that she might be new, but the only way to make her not be new is to let her get some experience.
Right.
Doing stuff. And this seems like a fairly easy way of getting experience, especially if she's not going in the house.
Yes. Piper says that she's just trying to be protective. And Paige is like, yeah, you being protective of me might be hurting Phoebe.
Yeah. Finally, Piper gives in. And tells Paige to bring Finn to P3 or the spot so that she won't be alone with him. Paige then grabs and unwraps a blow pop.
It was a Tootsie Pop.
Sorry, Tootsie Pop.
Yep. And by the color of the wrapper, it was raspberry flavor.
Yep. And gets out of the car.
Yeah, she says that she's going to use the lollipop as a lure, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah, and then just pops it in her mouth with like a slight eye roll and walks off.
Yeah. Piper, of course, calls after her that she's not to go in the house. Paige seems to ignore her, and Piper turns to Leo and says it's like talking to a wall.
And he's like, yep, she's got the Halliwell hearing.
And Piper looks at him with, let's just say, if looks could kill, he'd be in a large amount of pain.
Yes.
It was brilliant. Back inside Finn's house, Phoebe levitates up to Claudia.
With a bit of like a swimming motion?
Yeah, a little bit. Saying that the one good thing about being so small is that she's kind of able to fly.
Mm-hmm. She asks Claudia if she can talk, and Claudia kind of just whimpers. Clearly the clay on her face, which doesn't look to be a lot, is hampering her movement.
Yeah, it's apparently drying just enough that she can't actually say much.
Yeah, we get a quick shot of Creepy Dude.
Sans robe.
In front of a kiln.
Yes, but we don't actually see that it's a kiln. We just see it's a fire of some sort.
No, I saw it was recognizable to me as a kiln.
I didn't.
Like, even without having seen this episode before.
I didn't recognize it as a kiln this first time we saw it.
Okay, well,
because it was just fire that I saw.
Yeah, but it was like a bar of fire in a window of some sort of top-loading oven. That's a kiln.
Right, but I'm just saying. I didn't recognize it as a kiln in this particular shot.
We had a kiln at my middle school.
Yeah,
and I didn't have a window. I did have a window, but
I took a ceramics class in college. I know what a kiln looks like.
Okay.
I didn't recognize this particular thing as a kiln in this moment. That's all.
Okay.
Anyway,
Phoebe tells Claudia to close her eyes, not tense up, and then Phoebe kicks and breaks the clay surrounding Claudia.
It was kind of hard to see as her clothing is so pale, but there is some like clay dust and like it's stuff on her clothes. It was a nice touch.
It was a nice touch, but it was still extremely incongruous because like she just kicked the clay around her legs and arms, and then suddenly
all of it
her hair is completely free of clay except some dust.
Yeah.
And yeah. But yeah, it was nice for them to not make them completely clean. Like they probably took some like quick dry, like the stuff you use for handprints and stuff.
Yeah.
And just like rubbed
Plaster
it
of
on her
Paris.
shirt. Yeah, plaster of Paris, and just like rubbed it on her shirt and pants and stuff.
Yeah.
And face.
Claudia starts to collapse, but Phoebe's like, no, we need to run, and we need to get away before Gamel sees us. Now, this is the first time we have gotten Creepy Dude's name, and there's no indication of how Phoebe knows it.
Yeah.
We never find out how Phoebe knows it.
Presumably Finn used it at some point. I don't know.
Don't know, but we literally never find out. So now he is Gamel.
He has his robe back on, and he appears standing up in front of the shelf. It was a really funny reveal.
Yeah, he just kind of, his head just kind of appears in front of them.
Just pops up.
Yep, and he traps them under what looks to be a rusty coffee can.
And then taps it.
Yep. He says that he knew a witch could never resist saving an innocent, and then he hears Paige knocking on the door and calling out.
And then Gamel tells Finn to get the girl inside. Finn's like, maybe we should just let them all go. And then Gamel's like, when did you get a conscience? I never gave you one.
And this is the first moment when we realize that Finn may not be human at all.
Yeah, and he tells Finn to fetch. Mm-hmm. And Finn goes to answer the door. We hear a very tiny pounding sound and squeaking coming from inside the can.
Yep.
So he flicks it again and tells them to be quiet.
Then he slides the can onto a board, keeping them trapped but no longer on the shelf. And then he tips them out into what looks to be a pottery kiln, which is a type of oven that's used to harden and dry clay. Now, because I had to look it up, the most interesting thing to me about a kiln is during the Middle English period, the N was not pronounced. So it was called a kill. Around the same time, the word miln, which is the place where wheat is ground, was also popular. Now, mill, which was spelled M-I-L-N, changed the spelling to M-I-L-L to go with the pronunciation. Kiln changed the pronunciation to go with the spelling it already had.
That's funny. They swapped.
They did.
It's like a wife swap.
It's mostly because kiln was a word that was written down more often than it was spoken aloud.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Anyway, you can, as always, read more about this on the wiki.
Mm-hmm. We cut to the front door as Finn opens it to see Paige. She does this whole aggressive, flirty thing. He asks her to come inside. She hesitates just long enough for him to ask what's wrong.
And she pretty successfully blows it off by saying, oh, my mom told me never to go into strangers' houses. And he tries the, what are you afraid of thing.
And then we cut to Piper and Leo watching from the car as Piper is all, don't do it.
And we cut to Gamel watching through the hole in the wall in the foyer going, do it.
Yeah. We then cut back to Paige as she takes Finn's hand and starts to enter the house. But then Finn has second thoughts and decides to leave with her. We cut to Leo and Piper as Paige and Finn drive away on Finn's motorcycle, and Paige waves goodbye at them, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
Leo is happy that the lure worked, but Piper thinks that it only barely did so.
We cut to inside Finn's house as Gamel goes to the kiln, where we can see Phoebe and Claudia inside through the glass. Leo and Piper begin to orb in, so Gamel hides.
Phoebe calls out to Piper, but Piper cannot hear her because she is tiny and inside a kiln.
Yeah, and both her and Claudia are like smacking the glass, but it's very soft, even as we're listening.
Yeah.
And clearly Piper and Leo can't hear it.
Right. Piper and Leo take off in different directions to look around. Phoebe continues to try and get Piper's attention. And Piper, as she's looking around, steps on the figurine that Phoebe had dropped earlier. This makes her lose her footing, and she falls into a small cabinet.
And she turns around and opens this, like, windowless hutch thingy and sees a whole bunch of those little figurines. And they all are, like, painted, and they all have little, like, name placards in front of them something.
That I didn't see.
They had these little, like, pieces of paper. You know, like, when you, like, kind of, like the name placard that would go on, like, an office desk. But, like, made of paper and tiny.
Okay, that I didn't notice.
But there was one in front of each of them, and they were stacked several deep.
Yes, they were stacked several deep. They all had little looks of horror on their faces, and they all had what looked to be hands in the pockets of very long black skirts.
It looked like, to me, the visual was more kind of like they were emerging from a black tornado or something. But, like, we've already seen Claudia trapped in the thing, so it's very clear that this is just, the clay trapping their hands so they can't move around.
Right.
And he just painted it black for some reason.
Right. He made it look like a skirt with pockets.
I guess, kind of. Not really.
We get a quick POV of Gamel looking at the shrinking wand thing, which is just sitting on a table behind Piper and Leo.
Yeah. Leo's like, this is a bizarre collection, and then stops Piper from touching them.
Yeah. He says he'll check upstairs. Phoebe is, of course, still trying to get Piper's attention, which we see by denim-clad legs walking past Phoebe and Claudia inside the kiln. And Phoebe was looking in the complete wrong direction.
Yeah. She should have been, like, looking up or something.
Like, it made me laugh so hard I had to pause the show just to catch my breath.
Yeah.
Because it was like the legs go by and she's still looking out. And then she looks a little to the left, even though the legs went to the right. It was hilarious how off it was.
Uh-huh. But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I found it really weird that she wouldn't try calling out for Leo. Like, she tried that earlier, it didn't work, but he was very far away, and she's a tiny blip on his radar. He's in the room. You'd
think she'd try.
Yeah.
Instead of just yelling
but
for
no,
whatever.
she doesn't.
But no. Nope.
But yeah. And then we see Gamel hiding behind one of the, like, open ribcage patches in the wall. He's holding a dagger.
Yeah.
As Piper comes up to the wall and, like, peeks in.
She, a la convenience, doesn't notice him at all.
It's dark in there, and he's, like, not in the path of the light, so I get that.
I know that he's in a shadow, but seriously, like, it was a la convenience that she didn't
It was very
even
horror
hear him
movie.
breathing.
It was very horror movie, too. Leo comes back in, tells Piper there's literally nothing upstairs, and then asks if Piper found anything.
She says that all she's found is clay, and he says that they should get back out and go check the Book of Shadows to figure out what they're dealing with. She says that it better not require the power of 3 to vanquish it, as they orb out.
Phoebe, very rightfully, seems dejected by Piper leaving.
Gamel goes over to Phoebe, now knowing that she's one of the charmed ones, and decides that he wants to collect them all.
Pokemon.
Yes. We see him reaching into the kiln and we go to commercial break. And as we come back to Finn's house, some time has passed. Gamel puts Phoebe and Claudia, who are now both covered in clay, back on the shelf, and he tells them that he'll put them into the kiln once their clay hardens, and then he leaves to complete his collection.
Phoebe is lamenting that her earlier job interview made her feel this small, and now she actually is this small. And this is very much not helping Claudia feel any less panicked.
Yeah.
Claudia is kind of whimpering a little, and Phoebe's like, no, I'll figure how to get us out of this situation.
However, her voice gets very slow as she speaks, because apparently the clay is already hardening.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Back at the manor, Piper and Leo are in the attic looking at the Book of Shadows.
They find Gamel.
He is known as the Collector.
And there are 2 pictures drawn in the book. One of Finn and one of the creepy-faced Gamel.
It's not a very good likeness of Finn either.
It wasn't a very good likeness of either of them.
It was better for Gamel, though, because he's already more distinctive. But, like, the one for Finn just made him look, like, really flat-faced for some reason.
Yeah. Leo says that Gamel is known for collecting one-of-a-kind figurines, and then asks what he gets out of that.
And Piper mentions her great-aunt Sylvia, who collects Hummels, and says that people who have a hard time dealing with real people may view figurines as their best friends.
Now, for anyone who isn't aware, Hummel figurines are a series of porcelain figurines that are based on drawings from a German nun, whose name was Sister Maria Innocentia Hummel. She was born in 1909 and died in 1946. She basically drew these little cherubic figures, and the nuns were like, these are really good, and they sent them to the bishop, who was like, these are really good, we can maybe make some money off of this, and sent them on, and then, figurines were made of these drawings.
Mm-hmm.
So, little fun fact. The first mayor of Rosemont, Illinois.
Which is kind of where O'Hare is.
Yeah.
I mean, technically O'Hare is in Chicago,
Yeah,
but that's
it's
literally
not.
just because they rezoned a very thin isthmus of land all the way out to O'Hare and encompassed it. They did the same thing with Midway.
Yes. So the first mayor of Rosemont, Illinois is Donald E. Stevens.
And he has a convention center named after him.
Yes, he
also
does.
in Rosemont.
Yes, I have been there many, many times.
Oh, yes.
He amassed one of the largest collections of Hummel figurines in the world. He died in 2007, and in his will, he gave the entire collection to the city of Rosemont. The city built the Donald E. Stevens Museum of Hummels, which opened in March of 2011. And I've never been there as they close at 3 p.m.
Where is that? Is it, I mean, it's in Rosemont.
It's in Rosemont.
Obviously. But is it like at the convention center somewhere?
No.
Okay.
It's just a building.
Oh, it's elsewhere.
Yeah, it's elsewhere. But I've seen pictures from inside the Museum of Hummels, and it is a bit creepy to have all those little faces staring back at you from the glass, from behind glass, especially
It's like a Victorian doll museum, I imagine.
It's even creepier because he has like multiple statues of the same thing. No, so it's like a dozen of these little faces just staring at you.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
Yeah, no. It's just weird. Anyway.
Yeah. Leo goes on to say that Gamel got cursed by a witch to make him as hideous on the outside as he was on the inside. And he points to the portrait of Gamel.
And I gotta say, he wasn't that bad looking. Like, a little bit of a burnt face, not a big deal.
Yeah. I think there was like a weird implication here when I was watching this that Gamel made Finn in his like former image. So clearly when he got cursed he must have looked like Finn.
Right.
And that made her turn him into Robert Englund with a burn.
Right.
Because I mean, when he was young I'm sure Robert Englund was quite the looker, but old and creepy and everyone associates him with Freddy Krueger now. Yeah. And then sticking a shiny burn on the side of his face. Yeah, that's hideous.
Yeah. Because Leo points to the picture of Finn in the book and says, well, we saw him and he looks the same. So, yes, it is meant to be that Gamel looked like Finn and now looks like Gamel.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, that isn't all that hideous. Just saying.
It's uglier. And for a guy that used to look like Finn, that's real ugly.
Oh, well, yeah. But it's kind of that Beauty and the Beast thing. Mm-hmm. Where, like, yeah, he was cute as a human, but Beast wasn't all that hideous.
No, honestly, Beast was cuter.
Yeah. Because, who doesn't like a puppy?
I know, a big giant puppy who can protect you from wolves.
Yeah. Anyway.
And it looks real cuddly.
Piper wonders if that means that Gamel found a way to break the curse and changed his name to Finn. Leo says that he doesn't know, but the guy who's with Paige probably does.
So Piper's like, oh, we need to go find Paige so that we all can find Phoebe.
Leo says that he shouldn't have to worry about Paige because no one's going to hurt her in such a public place as the Spot.
And he says it with a bit of an eye roll, too.
Yeah, I loved it. We then, of course, cut to Paige's apartment as Paige and Finn enter. Because of course.
Yeah, she apologizes for the mess and starts picking up some random clothes that have been strewn about on various pieces of furniture.
Yeah.
Finn's like, oh, I like your place. This is the first time a girl has ever invited me over to their place.
Yeah, Paige says the club was too noisy, so she figured they could hang out at her place. He goes to kiss her, and the leather of his jacket is creaking every time he moves.
Just like your bra.
Yeah. At least I got a new one of those.
Yep.
She stops him from kissing her, tries to change the subject back to his house.
He tries to say he doesn't want to talk about it, but she's like, my sister could be in trouble. You need to tell me if something bad is happening there.
Luckily, he takes off his jacket before he sits down, so we don't need to hear it creaking anymore. And he says that he's only recently started asking Gamel questions about what's going on. Paige asks who Gamel is. Finn says, he made me.
Which makes Paige ask if that's a mafia thing.
And I started laughing.
Yeah, he takes her hand, like, untucks the front of his shirt and places her hand on his stomach and then tells her that he's not like her. And she kind of, like, looks up into the distance, slightly freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, she freaks out a little, but not too much. Yeah. It was very nicely subtle.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we jump over to The Spot, where we see a huge neon sign on the wall.
Saying, The Spot.
Yeah, we also see the women with the tiny black, like the little black crop tops. And they're now in tiny black shorts with glitter belts.
Yeah, so
they're all dancing on the bar. And I had a flashback to last season.
Yeah, I had a Coyote Ugly moment. Yeah.
Anyway, Piper and Leo walk down the stairs through an absolute crush of people.
Yeah, mass of people. Piper says that she's got the creepy shivers. Leo says she's glad she changed the name. And then Piper notices the waitresses.
She points them out to Leo and then covers his eyes.
Which I thought was hilarious.
And says something about they're taking off their spots.
Yeah. he kind of does this like weird neck crane thing as he's looking in the direction. He goes, "Can you do that in public?"
Yeah, Piper pulls his attention back to her, tells him to look for Paige, and then sends him into the mass of people dancing. Piper walks back toward the back of the club, and then this extremely large bouncer stops her just as she sets her hand on like this velvet rope thing.
Yeah, he stops her from entering the VIP area. This bouncer is played by Aaron Brumfield. He has no picture on IMDb, but he has 37 acting credits between 1997 and 2016. And this is my favorite scene, I think, of the entire thing.
Yeah.
She talks back to him, and I want to quote this entire line that she says because it was perfection.
Yeah, he stops her and he's like, "You're not a VIP."
And she's like, "You're assuming because I'm not tall, tattooed, or big-breasted that I'm not important?" And he kind of like gives her this like little like smile of like, "Yeah, kind of." She goes, "That's a bad assumption because I own this club, which makes me a VVVIP."
And she like pokes him in the pec.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and I loved every second of it. Best line.
It was
best
good.
line read. It was wonderful.
And at this point, like, Treat comes out from the VIP area, spots her, and goes, "Piper!" And then, like, offhandedly tells the bouncer, she's good.
Yeah.
And they move a little bit kind of into the VIP area.
And then, after a small exchange, she asks if he's seen Paige. He says that she was there, but left because it was too noisy, which then gets the obvious joke of Piper not being able to hear him, and he having to repeat himself. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Such a lovely joke.
Yeah. Piper leaves Treat and finds Leo trying to get through the crowd, but is currently caught in between two dancing... I was unclear to me whether they were waitresses or just club...
Yeah, I don't know. It was two dancing people who were scantily clad.
Patrons.
It could have been...
They were two very young, very blonde girls.
Yes. He looks slightly awkward about it as Piper walks up to him. She takes his hand, pulls him through the club, and says that Paige took Finn to her loft. How she figured that out, we don't know.
Well, the only other place they could have gone.
I guess maybe, but like she could have taken him back to the manor.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Anyway, they decide to orb out by walking behind a lip-shaped sofa on which there is a pair making out.
Yeah.
They just duck behind it and we see orbs happen.
Yeah, it was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's hilarious because she doesn't even like go into a back room. She doesn't like go out. Nope. Let's just kneel behind this couch. Nobody'll notice.
Nope.
Anyway, we cut to them orbing into Paige's apartment in front of her door.
And we get a shot of Finn, shirt almost entirely off. Like it's off of his shoulders. We see his naked back. And we see Paige's hands on his hips.
Yes.
And Piper starts in on that big sister train and like kind of averts her eyes because as everyone
great.
Seeing this from that particular angle might assume this is clearly a blowjob happening.
Yeah. She berates Paige about leaving the club to play doctor with the demon boy, and Paige cuts her off to say that Finn has no belly button. Finn, as he puts his shirt back on, we get a quick little glimpse of the fact that he has no belly button before he covers himself, and it made me think of that show Kyle XY.
Yeah.
Which, that didn't come out until 2006. I've never actually seen it, but the main character has no belly button.
Yeah, I forget what the point of that one was.
I think it was
like
an
aliens or something.
Yeah. But it was just like, I thought it was funny that this happened 5 years beforehand.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Anyway, Paige says that she left the club
because it sucks now.
And says something about anytime you try to be that hip, it ain't hip. Mm-hmm. Says that Finn has no belly button because he wasn't born.
Yeah.
Finn tells them he was created out of clay.
Leo realizes that he must be a golem that was made in Gamel's image. Now, I actually know a bit about Golem because a golem in Jewish folklore is an animated being made of clay that acts like a human. Though they aren't normally as cute as Finn, they normally look a little bit more like Baymax from Big Hero 6.
Or the Thing from Fantastic Four.
Yeah. They're normally big and bulky and
well, I know
raw.
in canon, I forget the name of him, but the Thing from Fantastic Four actually is Jewish.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of funny that.
I know, right?
Yeah. Anyway, Paige says that Finn needs protection from the demon who made him. Piper asks where Gamel is now. Finn says he's at the house. Leo says that they didn't see him when they were there. And Finn's like, yeah, that's because he's got a secret hiding place. Piper asks if Gamel could be hiding Phoebe. And Finn's like, no, he probably shrunk her, using his wand to add her to the collection.
And that makes Piper realize why his figures are one of a kind.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we have to get back to the house to find Phoebe.
Finn cautions them about Gamble wanting to shrink them all, and says that he isn't sure why he didn't do it before.
Piper asks if Gamble still trusts Finn. Finn's like, yeah. So Piper says that Finn can go in first to distract Gamble.
Paige says that they can't use Finn as a minesweeper because he's innocent, and Piper pulls Paige aside and reminds her that innocents are usually real. Now, if you, like me, immediately thought of the puzzle minesweeper, I feel ya.
Yeah.
However, an actual minesweeper is a small naval warship designed to remove explosive mines. It can sometimes be done with an aircraft if it's needed over land instead of water, but it's mostly in the water.
And there's a type of rat in Africa that can clear minefields. It's called a hero rat. They're big and they're cute.
Well, alrighty then.
I love rats. They're so sweet.
All right.
They're so friendly.
Yeah.
They give kisses. Like they grab your finger and start kissing it. It's very cute.
Well, okay then. I've never been around a rat, so I don't know.
I think you'd like them. They're very like just miniature dogs.
Interesting.
They're also very soft.
I've had a guinea pig.
Yeah, it's kind of like a guinea pig, but without the like.
Without the little whimpers.
Yeah.
All right. Paige says they need to go back to the house and see if there's a spell to undo the shrinking in the Book of Shadows.
Piper says they don't have time.
Paige says they can't go in unprepared.
Piper says that being unprepared might be the best idea, and then asks Leo what he thinks.
Leo tells them to stop asking him and try to figure out how to listen to each other and work together as equal partners.
Paige asks if they can start doing that tomorrow, as they really need his help, and he responds that the best way of helping is this. He sticks his hands in his pockets and then orbs out.
Yeah. Piper yells after him. Paige asks what they're going to do now, and Piper says that she'll just have to convince Paige that she's right.
Yeah, Paige asks if they can just flip a coin.
After a small bit of arguing, they flip a coin.
Piper calls for heads. Paige throws the coin.
It lands on heads. She orbs it to tails without saying anything, and then says that she wins fair and square.
Yeah. Cheating.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting that she was able to orb it without saying anything.
Well, no, she said tails. She said tails.
Did she?
She had to call it, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, because Piper called for heads, so I missed the thing.
Piper called for heads, and then
that's right,
she's opening her hand...
As she opens it, she goes, tails.
Says, it's tails, and then it orbed to tails.
That's right, she does. Okay, so she orbs it to tails. She says she wins fair and square. And then we time jump to Piper, Paige, and Finn entering the manor. Paige tells Finn he'll be safe there. He asks for a glass of water because his skin is feeling dry. She directs him to the kitchen, and he starts walking in that direction.
But before he can make it past that table in the hall by the stairs, he is zapped by a bolt of red energy, blows up in a puff of smoke, a flash of light, and we hear the sound of pottery breaking.
So we know that Finn is no more.
Yeah, and then Gamble walks into frame.
Wearing a black jacket instead of his robe, points his wand at Piper and Paige, and shrinks them with a bolt of electricity, and then we go to commercial break.
And there was another uh-oh. Every time someone gets shrunk, we hear an uh-oh.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah, really tiny uh-oh. We come back from commercial to see Paige, Piper, Phoebe, and Claudia all encased in clay on that shelf in Gamble's house. Mm-hmm. Gamble has now...
removed his jacket, but not put back on the robe. He grabs Claudia and says he's going to fire up the kiln.
He tells the other girls that they're next. And I'm like, your kiln has a bigger capacity than this. Come on, dude.
Right, but they aren't dry yet.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Phoebe is.
Phoebe is almost dry, but not completely dry.
Anyway,
he walks away.
Piper asks Phoebe if she can say a spell. Phoebe makes some sounds.
Sounds, but no words. Piper realizes that they need to come up with other options.
And Paige is like, our options are screwed and being more screwed.
Yeah. Piper tells her that they don't need the negativity. Paige asks Piper if she can blast her way out. Piper says she can't move her hands. And Paige says that she could try to call for something, but that wouldn't really help. Piper asks about orbing, and Paige is like, do you think Leo would be able to hear us? And Piper's like, Paige, you can orb.
Yeah, and Paige is not very confident about it. She's like, I can only orb in the same place.
Piper says that the clay is still wet enough to collapse if she can leave it for a second.
Phoebe makes a noise of agreement.
Yeah.
And Paige reminds them she's never been able to orb at will before.
And we have a lovely sister moment where Piper tells her that all she needs to do is concentrate and relax, which of course makes Paige want to do anything but relax.
Piper tells her to close her eyes, take a deep breath, feel the magic rising from a place of strength, and then tells Paige that she's our only hope.
I totally got Princess Leia chills.
Yeah.
Paige orbs out, her clay breaks, and when she orbs back in, there's some clay dust on her clothes. It was a nice effect, and it actually worked a little bit better with her than it did with Claudia, because Paige was wearing much darker clothes.
However, her hair is completely dust-free.
Yep.
Yeah. She takes a second to be very proud of herself, and then kicks the clay open on Piper and Phoebe.
Phoebe says that Gamble is about to put Claudia in the kiln, which is the first time that we hear Claudia's name.
Yeah. Phoebe tells Piper to freeze Gamble. Piper tries. Nothing happens. He's too big for her tiny magic. The way she said that was also really cute.
Yeah. Paige wonders if she'd be able to call for his wand, as we're showed that it's just sitting there on a table.
Yeah. Piper tells her to try it, and Phoebe's like, keep your voice down. He might hear us.
So she quietly calls for the wand. When nothing happens, Phoebe's just like, just go for it. And Paige calls louder. It is loud enough to get the wand to orb to her, and for Gamble to hear, and the girls then lift the wand and point it in his direction as he comes toward them.
Paige realizes that it takes a spark to set off, so Piper runs to the back of it, and she's like, I got this, and then does her, like, explodey hands in the back of it, and it shoots off the electricity at Gamble. He shrinks.
He literally walks into the beam of electricity.
Yeah.
And gets shrunk. Like, he wasn't trying to get away.
No,
he walked right into it.
Well, he was trying to get to the wand. I don't think he thought they would be able to do that.
Yeah.
But then, like, once he shrunk, he has a little uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
as he tries to run away, Piper freezes him. And it was cute because he froze mid-run.
Yeah. Phoebe says they should take him out Charmed One style.
Paige asks if they need a spell for that, and Phoebe's like, well, you know, I was stuck in clay all day, so I had time to think of one.
Apparently, the spell she came up with was small of mind, big of woe. The pain you caused, you now will know. And the great part about this, what I liked, is she told everyone to repeat after her, and when they repeated, she would say it with them.
Yes.
Which is a very efficient way to do that shit.
Yes.
I appreciated it.
It was quite nicely done.
Anyway, when she says that Gamble does like a Vanquish stretchy dance.
What I lovingly call the Vanquish dance, because it's that like with the arms flailing and the spinning around in a circle thing.
I don't think he spun. I think they just did like a post stretch.
Yeah,
like bulge.
He disappeared in a puff.
Yeah, and then the girls are all transformed back to normal size,
knocking the shelf off the wall as they
get bigger.
And then we see Claudia, who had fallen to the floor, begin to glow as she gets transformed back. Paige seems unimpressed by the spell that Phoebe came up with, but Phoebe is just happy that it worked.
Claudia asks how they did that. She seems very impressed. Phoebe replies, the power of 3.
And Piper makes the size joke of the power of 0.3.
Holds out her fingers.
With the little fingers. It was cute. And our final scene finds us in the spot.
Dave Navarro is on stage singing the song Hungry off of his 2001 solo album, Trust No One.
Yeah, I'm not even going to bother to... I would just link to Dave Navarro. He's a singer. He was married to Carmen Electra for a while.
Ah, that's who I was thinking of.
He is now one of the, the host of Ink Master. Like, I just... I don't have the energy to talk about Dave Navarro right now. I just don't.
That's fair. Anyway, Paige, Phoebe, and Leo enter, and Piper makes her way through the crowd to join them.
Leo is in a white t-shirt under a dark overshirt with black pants. Phoebe is in a long blue scoop neck dress with a darker blue triangle panel in the center, and the skirt is a slightly different shade of blue. Her hair is pulled up into braided buns with some sort of cover thing over it. I'm not sure exactly. She has a small necklace that looks like a small line of beads down her chest, and for a moment I thought it was a scar down her chest. It really did look that way from afar. Paige is in a green halter top that ties...
It's like a handkerchief halter.
Yeah, it ties at the center of her back, and it has a boob window that has beaded flowers around the edge of it, and she has paired it with a long black skirt. No bra. Prue would be very proud of this outfit. Mm-hmm. Her hair is down and straight. And Piper is in a red top that has shoulders of slightly different material. It is gathered at the waist by an internal belt. and has some sort of sparkly detail, like brooch thing, just over the left breast. She's paired this with black leather pants. No song? Okay. And she is also...
Leather pants.
There we go.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And she also has that little diamond necklace on. And her hair is pulled into like a messy bun at the back of her head. And we can see a black bra strap, so there's that. And she's wearing a black leather cuff on her wrist that seems to be covering her wrist tattoo. Now, she's probably worn cuffs that covered this tattoo before, but this is the first time that I've actually noticed a bit of the tattoo peeking out, so it caught my eye.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just a thing I noticed.
Piper asks what they all think of the spot. Phoebe is impressed by the musical guest, but Leo says he can't get used to the white gauze.
Piper says he doesn't have to because she told Treat that she just can't do it. And Paige was right about the spot trying too hard to be hip.
Which means it's 5 minutes away from being 5 minutes ago, which makes Phoebe chuckle.
Yeah, it was a great line.
Yeah. They go sit down in a pile of pillows. They, collapse into it.
Yeah.
And Phoebe raises a toast to the old, and they all clink their little bottles of mineral water.
Yeah, Paige and Phoebe's bottles have straws, but Piper and Leo's bottles do not.
Paige looks a little sad, and Piper asks what's wrong, and Paige says that the last time she was at this club was with Finn.
She asks how they get over this stuff. Phoebe says they don't, and Piper says she'll learn with experience that you can't dwell on the losses.
Piper tells Paige that she has to learn to protect her heart because the good sometimes comes with some sadness.
Leo reminds them that there's been a lot of good. Phoebe remarks that her skin looks fabulous.
Clay mask.
Yep.
And Piper's like, oh, being 5 inches tall has made me realize I'll never complain about my height again.
She also tells Paige that she won't doubt her instincts again.
Paige thanks her, and Leo says, oh, there's only one more thing to do. So he stands up, helps Piper up, and then we cut to them all walking out the back door of the club.
Phoebe asks what he's looking for. He says he's looking for something very important, and we see the shattered P3 sign next to a dumpster.
Which is there's almost nothing left. There's a couple of corners of the neon, but other than that and the general shape of the sign, you wouldn't be able to tell what it is.
Yeah, most of the glass is done. If you didn't see the shape of the sign, you'd probably have no clue.
Yeah. Paige questions him, and he's like, oh, it's some broken glass that needs healing.
Leo says that it's up to Piper. She asks if he can heal it. He kind of nods sheepishly, and so she tells him to do it. So he puts his hands on the sign.
And it reconstitutes itself really fast.
Yep.
And then starts to glow even though it's not plugged in anything.
And this is the first time...
No. I mean, it's the first time with him not touching it, but you remember back in season 1 where he was holding a light bulb and it was glowing?
Yes, but that was...
It's kind of a similar principle,
kind of a similar thing. But
plus,
this is...
I mean,
he wasn't healing that light bulb. He was just making that light bulb glow.
Well, it's just because he's a white lighter. And there's, I guess, a certain energy that manifests as somewhat electrical energy.
Right.
Probably of the 60-volt variety. And no, I just thought it was kind of in keeping because there was that light bulb and then maybe the neon is still a little bit excited from being all healed and shit.
Yeah, I don't
have
an issue with that. But
I love that I love that healing the sign made all of the neon that had escaped the tubes come back into the tubes before they got healed. That was interesting.
I just think it's weird because this is the first time we've seen him heal something that isn't living.
True.
And I think it's weird that he couldn't heal an owl, but he can heal a neon sign. I'm just saying.
Maybe it was the whole curse on the owl thing? I don't know.
Nope, because he said something about not being able to heal the owl because it wasn't human.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just saying.
But, I mean, to be fair, when he heals people, their clothes also fix.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not consistent, obviously.
Right. I just thought it was funny. That's all.
Yeah.
We end with Piper saying, it looks like P3 is back, and everyone smiles, and then we go to the end credits. It was one of my favorite episodes so far.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nicely done. It was just cute enough. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
And it was a happy episode.
We had Robert Englund in it.
Yeah. It was a happier episode. It wasn't like doom and gloom and rah, rah, rah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a happier
episode.
episode.
Continuing this sort of arc of, accepting Paige into the fold in, another way and another way.
Right.
I think next episode is the one where she, actually moves into the house.
Oh, okay.
She's currently, living in her own apartment. And that had been, an issue
Spoilers.
with... Well, whatever the fuck. That's literally the only thing I'm spoiling you on for next episode, but whatever.
Hey, I thought she was going to move into the house like 2 episodes ago, so...
Well, yeah, but no, because there was the whole thing with Piper and Leo wanting to move out where we're debating about, like, how efficient it would be if they still have to do witchy things, and they haven't brought this up to Paige yet.
Right.
Like, at all.
Right.
So that's, like, another way they have to let her into the family is to be like, hey, you could live with us.
Yeah.
Like, we have a room. Why don't you come here?
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah. I'm excited for the next episode because as it has been established, I don't remember anything that's coming up. And so I'm excited for the next episode to see how this all like continues to become like, yes, we're inviting you into our lives.
Yeah, it's a
little by little.
It's a nice arc that I'm pretty sure continues across the entire season. Like, they never quite let go of the whole you're new thing. But they do, like, include her in a variety of different ways. And it's still a bit of a conflict point because they don't really know her. But then we get more, like, Paige's actual backstory and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a nice season-wide arc beyond whatever other arcs they're having this season.
Yeah, it's
and in that way it is consistent, which I like.
Yeah. I'm liking the fact that because I didn't remember this, that I'm getting to experience it again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel stale. It doesn't feel put upon. Mm-hmm. It feels organic. The way that they're introducing her into their life slowly but surely.
Yes.
It doesn't feel forced in any real way. Mm-hmm. And I like it a lot. Yeah. Anyway, so we're on to our ratings portion. Have you thought of a rating?
Yes. I'm going to give it 8 out of 10 spot strippings.
Spot strippings?
Yeah. They were taking off their spots.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. 8 out of 10 spot strippings. All right. I am going for 8 out of 10 extreme beauty treatments.
Yeah. You should just capitalize all of treat. You did that without knowing, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't talking about the P3 thing. I was talking about the being encased in clay. Which is also kind of funny because she dated a dude named Clay. Just saying.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, saying extreme beauty treatments, that could be about the club, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. With our ratings done, that means we're on to our outfits. Did you have a favorite outfit?
I liked Paige's final outfit the best, I think. It works really well for her.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I didn't mind it, and Prue would have approved wholeheartedly. But I actually Approved, yes. I actually really liked the Black Pants purple turtleneck with the pink belt.
Yeah, that was cute.
It looked really good on her. Like, it fit her really well. Mm-hmm. For Phoebe, I liked the turtleneck dress, sans jacket.
Yeah, that was cool. She
wasn't in it for very long.
She's got some nice arms.
Yeah. And for Piper, I liked the final outfit because Piper in leather pants always wins.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Oh, Bakura.
So.
How many times have I shown you that video?
Too many. Too many to count.
We are now on to social media stuffs.
Yes. You can, of course, email any questions or comments to us at charmchats@gmail.com. You can find all of the links to whatever was mentioned in today's episode at charmchats.com. And that's also where you can find all of the links to our Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Redbubble, and Patreon pages. Don't forget to join the Discord if you're a patron. Just putting that out there because a lot of new cool stuff is happening on the Discord.
Yeah. Speaking of Patreon, we have a new patron.
We do. A big, huge shout out to Q for becoming a patron at the $10 tier. How awesome is that?
So awesome.
So awesome. We shall now shout your name into the ether. Q! Yeah.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Yes.
We thank you all for listening and supporting our show. And until next time,
sleep tight. Don't let the warlocks bite.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Piper, Phoebe, and Paige, kicking evil
cat on trial.